In this episode, we rebuild the carburettor with new homemade gaskets. Everything's going well until Roy breaks down in spectacular fashion. Hi, I'm Darren, an untrained amateur who's determined to save one of the last of these classic cars. This is Roy, a 45-year-old 2.8 litre Vauxhall Royale coupe. When I owned one 30 years ago, they were rare. Now they're unknown. This is one of the last of its kind, and I'm going to rescue it and relive my youth. Follow the rebuild, watch this legend come back to life. Okay, morning everyone. We are back with this carburettor. Regular viewers will know this is the original carburettor from the car. I rebuilt it. Well, I say I rebuilt it. I took it apart, cleaned it, and then put it back on the car. And the car ran a lot better than it had done with the aftermarket Weber that was on it. So I think this is the carburettor to go for, but we've still got a problem. It drives fine, no problem at all, and the plugs have got a nice colour to them, so I think the mixture is okay. When it's in its main circuit phase, but it's idle that it won't do. It won't idle properly, and these are notorious for warping. And when they warp, apparently there's like a vacuum problem. And what I did notice when I was trying to get the car idling properly, I noticed something very interesting, and that is that this side was pouring fuel through the main ventry and this one wasn't. Now, I don't know whether that means this one is starving or that one is too greedy, but something's wrong. Now, when I took it apart last time, what I did was I superficially took it apart. I fixed a couple of things and I put it all together with the same gaskets. The gasket kit that you can get for this only really has the 2 or 3 gaskets, and it has the 2 diaphragms. Now, the 2 diaphragms are fine. There's nothing wrong with them, so I don't need those. And the collective internet wisdom says that the gaskets are useless because they're too thin and they can't cope with the warpage that these have. So what we're going to try and do is take it apart, give it a bit more of a thorough inspection this time. Make sure that all of the passages are clean. I brought the compressor home with me so I can blow all the passages out with compressed air. So we'll give it a really heavy service, and also I've bought some really thick gasket paper, and we're going to make the gaskets for it, which in my mind sounds like a really simple idea. I'm sure it will be. Situation on the car. Yesterday did all of the valve inlet and exhaust seals. We've had a problem with the car producing clouds of smoke. Now, what a messy job. It took all day. I covered the garage in oil because you have to run the engine with the top cover off. So you get oil everywhere. And so yeah, covered everything with oil. But I took it on a run and it did appear to be a bit better. But again, sort of difficult to tell because this carb's not running right. So till I can get it nicely idling, and I did also find another couple of problems with it, which are not great. One, well, I found two two tappets that I wasn't happy with, that didn't look like they were holding hydraulic pressure. And I found two rocker studs where the threads were a bit iffy. So I've got those spares coming. Some are coming from the UK, because those tappets, they fit every Vauxhall and Opel that's been made for 30 years. They're exactly the same tappet. They'll even fit cars made after the millennium. What I've also done is I've got the studs coming from the same people that sold me the seals in Germany. And also I've bought from those some replacement lockdown nuts, because those lockdown nuts rely on the nut having a bit of a knackered thread on it in order to stop them from undoing. And that's what caused me to knacker two threads, or two threads to get knackered in the past. These guys do what they call a racing nut, and actually what it is a two-part nut. So you have the nut that goes over the stud, and you do the adjustment, and then there's a lock nut that goes inside it and Allen keys down to the top of the stud. And I think that'll be more reliable. So given that I was about to buy two studs for a grand total of €12 and then pay €24 to get it shipped, I thought, well, I'll get the nuts at the same time, and we'll do it properly. But the other problem that I did find, and it is slightly concerning, is that number 2, which was the piston that had the lowest compression, and I trust the compression tester's results, it also had the lowest leak down, but I've come to the conclusion that the leak down tester I bought was a bag of garbage. Because when I look at the results that I got, they just don't read right. It wasn't doing what the instruction said it should do, and it wasn't doing what, it was, both gauges were showing the same pressure, whereas one should show a differential. So I think that was knackered, and I've sent it back. But what I did get yesterday, because I had the cylinders pressurized, is the way I was doing the valve stem oil seals. I hadn't taken the cylinder head off, so what I was doing was pressurizing the cylinder by putting an adapter in the spark plug hole, plugging my compressor into it, putting pressure inside the cylinder, and that's holding the valves up. So you can change take the springs off and change the valve stem guides. Worked incredibly successfully. I was very pleased. And it's a long-winded process, but not difficult. Yeah, and am I rambling? Yes, I am a bit. And anyhow, the number 2 cylinder was allowing a bit of pressure to go to the cooling system. Not a lot, but a bit. And that's not great. That's head off, skim head. But equally, I don't think it's bad enough to warrant a complete stop of the project at the moment. I think, because I don't think it was, the compressions weren't bad enough to stop it running. Certainly not bad enough to cause this running problem that I've got. So I think we carry on. We change those tappets, make sure that top end is happy as far as we can, and then we need to get some proper oil into it. We need to get the right grade of oil into it. We need to get it running nicely, and then we need to get some miles under its belt, because I'm not even sure the rings are seated yet. I think it might have had engine work. But those tappets were, if you look at the last video, those tappets that I was taking out, they weren't just not worn, they were perfect. They were like polished on the ends. And I think it's had work. And I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't yet running. Anyway, let's concentrate on the carb. So this was cleaned not a long time ago. In the grand scheme of things, about 3 or 4 hours run time it's had on the car. What it has got is a load of gunge. It's got a load of gunge. That was clean as a whistle before. Let's get that petrol out. But that was absolutely clean as a whistle. And now it's full of gunge. What I did do, I took the inline fuel filter off of it that I'd put on it. That's got to go back on, hasn't it? That tank is full of gunge. Look at it. Absolutely loads of it. That was so clean. That's come from Roy's fuel. It must have done. Now that might explain why things have got progressively worse with this carb since I originally fitted it. Yeah, look at it. As I say, this was absolutely spotless. Definitely an inline fuel filter. Needs to go back inline. I took it out because this filler neck, this neck here, is a real pain in the bum to try and get a pipe to it. It has to do a really tight turn. I've looked at pictures of old engine bays and they're like that from new. And if you try and put a big filter in it, it don't work. You know, it makes the pipe try and do a right angle and blocks the fuel supply off. So, see, that's the screen filter. We got a little bit in that, but not a great deal. That was no, that wasn't new, but it was cleaned. So this gunge is going straight through. It's so fine. It's rust out the tank. Tank needs a drain and a swill out probably. I mean, there's definitely something wrong with the idle circuit of this, because the last couple of mornings when I've tried to start it up from cold, the only way I've been able to start it is pour petrol down the neck. This is a weird contraption, this thing here. What it does is when the vacuum, you set it so that when there's no vacuum on it, it holds the engine at 2000 revs. And then when there is a vacuum, a strong vacuum, so like when you're at idle and the throttle plates are closed and you have a strong vacuum underneath the throttle plates, it pulls that pin back and lets returns the throttle plates to idle. And it means that if you lose your vacuum, it pops out and it revs the engine. Weird. Well, there was an interesting thing there. That one, the O-ring doesn't feel very good. That one sort of floated out of its hole. That one was a little bit more tight. Maybe we'll change those O-rings. See, the trouble with these carbs, all these mouldings, I mean, you can't even surface it. You can't just plonk it on a fly cutter and take a foul off of it. Now this idea goes back to years ago. It was a method for resurfacing oil pumps. So we've got a sheet of glass, and a sheet of glass is probably the flattest thing you can get in a domestic environment. You ain't going to get anything much flatter than that. And we can kind of see if it's got any warping. That don't look bad on that bottom surface. Because here's something you can do if you're brave. May need to go a bit more aggressive. $3.20. It's not taking vast amounts off, but it is just cleaning up the surface. You can sort of see a bit of a warp coming there, look. It's taking material off around the ventries, but not here. I think we could even risk going a bit more vicious than that. Yeah, so that is a low spot there. But around all the ventries, it looks like it will seal. Yeah, that back end there is warped, but it's cleaned up around all the bits that matter. So these are the gaskets that need to be remade. And yeah, on the face of it, they look complicated. But actually, I don't think they are. They're certainly not that bad. So this one, if we've got those two holes positioned, then we can go out making it, because we can put it on top and we can actually start cutting out around it. Let me just go and get some tools. I got myself a pack of various sizes of gasket paper. punches, leather punches for the use of. Possibly that one. Definitely that one. Right. Get the feeling gasket making might be a craft that the classic car restorer should learn. Right, so newly made gasket, old spacer, newly made gasket, Okay, you'll have to forgive me on this one because this is a bit of an alien concept. Just put the rebuilt carburettor on the car. I've not tuned it at all. It's just sat on those 4 turns out on each screw. But something's different. Something's changed. Roy will now idle. We are not amazingly in tune, but we're moving, we're idling, we're stalling. Gear changes, so the vacuum's not yet right. But we're not putting out clouds of smoke. Under heavy acceleration, we're not putting out clouds of smoke. We are so far out of tune. It's hilarious. I think if anything, the timing is now far too far retarded. But we're idling, and we're idling in gear. It hasn't done that for a while. We're stalling at the traffic lights, embarrassingly. Come on, yeah. So yeah, this is a very alien concept because it's starting to look like some of the things that were done this weekend have actually. Oh, Roy! Just telling everybody how good you were. Yeah, some of the things that were done this weekend have actually worked, which is yeah, a bit weird. Novel experience. Yeah, that's not liking idling at the moment. Again. Yeah, I think the timing is just a nudges out. Yeah, as soon as you try and put it under load. Come on, Roy. Okay, so that was eventful. Just as everything was going so well and I was happily driving along, talking to camera, saying how wonderful it was, Roy started to stall and then wouldn't restart and then wouldn't go above idle, and then I looked under the bonnet
and we appeared to have run out of fuel. Okay, fine, except we haven't run out of fuel. Cut a long story short, I put 2 gallons of fuel in it, and the pump was just going backwards and forwards, not actually moving petrol forwards, but, you know, sucking and taking back what it had, you know, pushing and then taking back what it had taken. So I took the lid off the pump and loads of gunge in it, cleaned it out, trying to get it running off the tank. All it's doing is sucking air. Cut a very long story short, I've just managed to get it in the garage by running it off of a can. Basically, the fuel system is completely gunged up. The beautiful, nice, clean carburettor that I put in, despite me putting a fuel filter on it, has obviously gunged up again. Yeah, it's not great. I think the tank's got to come out and get cleaned. And I suspect there's a pipe that's gone bad somewhere. So it's sucking air. Because if I suck on the tank line, I can hear air entering the system. And it's not from the tank. So yeah, fuel supply problems now. Great. But we do know that when the carburettor's clean, it does work properly. It just means I might have to take it off and re-clean it again. And then stop all this manky fuel getting down there. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. Stop back next time for more fantastic adventures rescuing Roy, who seems to be stubbornly not wanting to be rescued right now. Stop it, Roy. Behave. Yeah, see you in the next video.